Hey everyone, I'm Mine, and this is set number 71782, Cole's Earth Dragon EVO from the LEGO Ninjago theme. This set contains 285 pieces, 2 minifigures, and will retail for $34.99 in the US. This set does not officially release until January 1st, 2023, but it was sent to me early by the LEGO group through the LEGO Ambassador Network, but all opinions expressed in this video are my own. Before I get started, I'd just like to ask you guys, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'm doing a bunch of early 2023 reviews, including more Ninjago reviews, as well as a bunch of other themes. A lot of those videos are actually already up on the channel right now, but by liking this video and subscribe to the channel, that will help put new videos in your feed as soon as they're posted. But with all that being said, let's get on to this review. So here is Cole's Earth Dragon EVO, and this is, of course, a Ninjago EVO set. So just like with the EVO sets from last year, I'm going to review this set in both its evolved form and its base form. The gimmick with the EVO sets is the first bag of the set sort of builds a base form for it, and then the second bag adds on to it, so that way you're evolving it, upgrading it. So this is it in its full final form, but we will take a look at the other version too. So we'll start with the head of the dragon right here, and you can see it's still using the same molded head system that they've been using for the past few years. However, there is an all-new part for this set that is also used in Zane's Ice Dragon for this wave, but while it's used for the lower jaw in that set, it's used as the upper jaw here. And I think this actually fits the Earth Dragon absolutely perfectly. The actual printing on the eye is incredible, sort of reminds me of NRG Cole, but you have this sort of like cracked rocky design that forms the eyelids of the dragon, and then the eyes themselves almost look like they're made of lava, which is very cool. It gives off the vibes that like this dragon's made of like molten rock. The new upper jaw piece is very cool too because you can actually build bricks on the back of it. So thanks to that, there's just more customizability options. For example, this build right here is very different to the build on the Ice Dragon. And you can see they use that in this set to attach 2 horns out the side. The horns start with like a classic LEGO pipe piece, but then they transition into this all new horn piece, which I actually think is very cool. Love the shaping on that, and obviously fits dragons perfectly with 2 spikes at the very end. You can imagine the dragon like using these to like ram into something. Definitely gives off super unique vibes. The lower jaw is like the spiky jaw piece that was used on Jay's dragon from last year, as well as a few others. And it's in gold here, so that's not a new color for that part. That was used in the Golden Ultra Dragon, but I think it does still fit pretty well with the overall color scheme. However, I do have one major issue with this head that actually really disappointed me. You may have noticed I've not been moving it around too much, and that's because I can't move it. This head's not on a joint. That's the first time I've seen that in a very long time. If ever, even. Like, even the 2011 dragons had their heads on joints. But no, not here. This guy's head's connected on with a few Technic pieces, so while, like, there's a little bit of looseness there, it's not a ball joint. You can't actually pose this in any way. It's permanently stuck straight out. You can see there's how it connects on the inside, too. And yeah, while this jaw can hinge, the head itself has no movement. I think that's super disappointing. It probably is not that difficult to customize if you wanted to. In fact, yeah, you probably could just like attach one of those mini ball joint Technic pieces right here, and then like a ball joint connector right there. But the fact that it doesn't come like that out of the box is kind of upsetting. Really limits like the personality and articulation on this guy. I wish that was done differently. And then my one other little criticism with the head is the way the upper and lower jaw are connected. It's just using this large gray piece, which I've never liked. I just think it looks really ugly and unnatural. All the EVO dragons have done this, and even some non-EVO dragons. So it's not like a unique issue to this guy, but even still, I wish they would have fixed it by now, because yeah, I'm just not a fan of that. But yeah, there's some personality you can get just by opening that jaw up. And unfortunately, just like the Ice Dragon, that mouth does not close perfectly. However, I feel like these jaws at least fit together a little bit better than that one, so I don't feel like it's as egregious here. But yeah, I wish there was a better way to like fully close that jaw up. So while aesthetically, I think there's a lot of great things about this dragon head, I really wish there was more posability here. I might play with this a little bit, see if I can fix that. Let me know if you guys want to see a video like trying to fix the dragon head on this guy, because if you're interested, I'll try to make it. Anyway, now moving back behind the head, you can see there's actually lots of these different hand spikes right here. These are large rubber pieces, and I don't see these used too often. This is definitely not my first time getting this part, but it's not like a common LEGO piece, so it's cool to get so many of them here, and definitely helps give this dragon a unique look that makes it very unlike the other Ninjago dragons. Most of these are able to be hinged too, not these 3 in the center, but the ones on the edges can't be like moved back if you want, or like pointed outwards, which I think is a fun way to get like more personality out of the dragon. You can imagine him being like a cat, right? When he gets scared, his hair stands on end. I don't know, that's just what immediately came to mind to me, but I do think it's a very unique look, and it's quite good. The dragon's shoulders are stickered. There's more of that like molten rock design that sort of matches the face print, and then down at the very bottom, the legs are connected on a mini ball joint. You can see the overall like build of this dragon is very different from other Ninjago dragons, which is something I quite like. He's got like this very bulky back, the legs are like stubby and close to the ground, but he seems like very muscular in his center, which is quite cool. But yeah, it does leave these legs quite short. However, I don't really mind the short legs in theory, but there are some parts of them that I don't like. There's more of those rubber pieces here, though this time in black, a few slope pieces for texturing, and then there's this orange wing out the side, which I don't know, I feel like doesn't really fit in. It's just too big of a molded piece in my opinion. The rest of this dragon I feel like uses smaller pieces to be detailed. This just doesn't really feel like it fits in. Not a bad piece by any means, and like very easy to be removed, but I don't know, I kind of wish they used more parts to make up this wing, instead of just defaulting into a single piece mold. Not a huge deal though, and that is also on a clip so it can be hinged if you want to move the wing back and forth. Then we come to the foot at the very bottom, and I think this looks good, two little claws at the end. However, it's on one of these rigid joints, which is like fine in theory. However, I think this also limits the posability of the dragon, because the fact that it's a ball joint up here, with then a rigid joint down here, you can't like adjust the feet to hold the dragon up. If you want to like bend the legs in, for example, the ball joint up here could do this, but then this foot like isn't perfectly touching the ground. So you have to always have that ball joint at a 90-degree angle, or else that foot won't be able to go flat on the ground. So again, I feel like it really limits your posability options. Like you can do things like that where the foot's a little lifted, and actually those rigid joints are a bit stronger than a ball joint would be, so you can do things like this where he's like lifting himself off the ground, and that's kind of cool. But yeah, it's definitely a bit of a trade-off. You guys have to let me know in the comments what you think of this. Was this the right decision, or should they have gone with the ball joint? If I make a video trying to fix this guy, this might be another area I try swapping out. I don't know if the ball joint would be better, but as it stands, this movement does just feel a little bit awkward to me. Shoulder and leg are pretty much the same exact thing on the other side. And then coming up onto the dragon's back, you can see there's a little golden saddle for Cole to sit on. There's also a new core banner for this set. And then the dragon's body suddenly gets very thin as you get down its back. That's another thing where it's like, I don't know how I feel about that. With how bulky it is at the front, I kind of wish that bulk stayed all the way through. Definitely not the worst thing in the world, and for a thin body, I think it does look good. But it just seems like a harsh juxtaposition compared to the front of this dragon. Then coming to the very end, here are the legs attached back here, and they actually have the opposite issue of the front legs. You can see the top of the legs are on a rigid joint, while the feet are connected on a mini ball joint, and I think these are actually a lot worse. There's no way to like articulate these legs forward, they're permanently bent like this, and I assume that's to help kids stand this thing up, because with how top heavy it is, I feel like these legs would fly out every now and then, if you didn't have them positioned correctly. However, once again, it does severely limit the range of motion on this guy. There's just no way to move these legs forward and back. You can only move them up and out. Now the foot is on a mini ball joint, so there's a little bit that you can do there if you want to try to get this guy in a walking pose, but it definitely does not feel as natural as like bending the actual leg. So all articulation's not lost, but I can't say I'm the biggest fan of that. Legs and side and everything are pretty much the same thing on the other side. And then the dragon has his tail at the very end, which is built in a very similar way to its horns. Black pipe piece, and then the new horn piece, now in black. And then we have more of the tan spikes at the end, which is also on a mini ball joint. This entire tail section can be rotated, and then the end of the tail can be moved around too. So funnily enough, this actually feels like the part of the build with the most articulation. So that's about it for the main build of this set, at least in its fully evolved form. I have super mixed feelings on this guy, because I think aesthetically this is one of the coolest things, and I really want to like this set because I've been desperate for like a good coal dragon for years. And I think this guy has a lot of elements that make him super close. However, unfortunately, I do feel like he's lacking in a few places. Because while I feel like last year's EVO dragons were like definitely very goofy looking, but were excellent for play, this is kind of the opposite. This is a great looking EVO dragon, but much weaker for play. Because the posability here is just, yeah, not great. Especially that head. I cannot believe that head doesn't move. But anyway, I'll talk about all that more at the end of this video when I give you my overall thoughts. Now let me show you what the unupgraded version of this guy looks like. So to turn this dragon back into the unupgraded form, you have to remove the horns from the sides of its head, the wings from each of its arms, the saddle from its back. In fact, there's an entire section of its back that you straight up just remove. Disconnected from the tail section as well. Reconnect those two parts to each other, and then finally remove the tail. And there you go, there is the unevolved Earth Dragon, who looks super goofy. He kind of looks like a frog now. He's got a very thin little body. I actually think the shape of this body works a lot better because it doesn't go from like super big to super thin. In fact, I think a good customization would be to try to decrease the size of that like middle section. Maybe a little bit longer than this, but not by much. Cause yeah, I actually don't think that body looks the worst. But he certainly looks a little goofy without all the attachments. In this form though, you can really see the limited posability. It is quite difficult to get all 4 feet touching the ground like this. Because the rigid techno joints have just such a limited range of motion, the foot's always up too high or like down too low. And like in the back, to have the feet touch the ground, you have to splay them out like this. If you try to have them straight, they're forced to tilt. All that to say, I think this is actually a super cute build. The upgrade version is definitely better just as a dragon, but this guy's goofy and a lot of fun, so I still quite like it, but I think for most people you're going to want to upgrade this one. Now moving on, here is the one and only side build in this set. It's like this little spider walker for the bone villains, and this is actually really cool. I know I would have absolutely adored this as a kid. I think there was a LEGO Agents character who did something similar when I was little, and I never got the set that he came in, but I always wanted it because I thought the spider walker was just such a cool idea. So I'm glad to see LEGO still including things like that in sets, because yeah, I still love things like this to this day. It's just such a fun concept, a little spider walker that the bad guy can ride on. That's a lot of fun. Obviously, it uses 6 of the bone claw pieces, or actually 7, one more to be the stinger, but other than that, it's very simple. Just the seat in the center and each individual leg can be articulated, so that way you can have it walk around. And because there is 6 legs, it's very easy to like pose it in a walking pose, where like 1 or more legs is up. And then the stinger out the back can also be articulated, and you can imagine that as like another weapon, so it can like sting at the dragon maybe. But yeah, not a ton of parts in this build, but it's one I really like. Fun way to mix up your villain army, and despite being quite small, I think it's a really good build. So here are the 2 minifigures in the set. We have a Bone Scorpio, and then we have Core Cole. The Bone Scorpio is called that because of the little walker thing that comes in this set. However, he is no different to, I think, like the Bone Hunter that comes in other sets. But basically, he's just one of the generic Bone villains for this wave that are not based off anything from the show. They're just original new villains for Core, just like the Snakes were last year. And I think they're fine figures all around. This guy uses the torso print variant that I'm less fond of. However, I'm glad that there's just 2 variants at all. And that's not to say it's bad by any means. Like, the metallic chains do look cool, and like the green skeletal body looks nice too. I do like the red hat helps tie in the red from the bottom, because the red's not really used in too many places here. And then in terms of accessories, he comes with 2 different bone weapons, the scythe and the sword. However, you do get the full set of bone weapons in this set, because every set comes with the full set of bone weapons. Lower jaw piece I've talked about in other reviews already, but basically I think it's cool in concept, however poor printing quality really ruins it for me, because it looks more like a mask than a lower jaw. So yeah, while it's cool in concept, I wish that had been done a little bit better. Not in terms of design, I just wish the face had been printed a little bit better. However, removing the head and jaw piece there, you can see the full face print, and I do think there's a good bit of personality there. I like the little lines around the eyes. He definitely looks kind of angry. And then turning around looking at his back torso print, it's actually quite similar to the front. Not much has changed there. And then Core Cole is of course reused from last year, so nothing new here. However, it is very nice to get him here, because he was both the least common core ninja in the last wave, and also the most expensive core ninja in the last wave. The cheapest set of this minifigure came in previously was $80, so getting him for $35 instead is super nice to see. And he only came in 2 sets last wave, so while he's only in 1 more this wave, it's still nice to add another one to his catalog. And in terms of the minifigure itself, of course I've covered it before, but I do think it is pretty good. Core Cole's probably one of my favorite core suits. Really love like the orange armor that he has on like underneath his robe. The color combination here is quite cool too. The brown pants I'm a little unsure about, but I think I've grown to like them. Look a bit strange from the sides, but from the front I think it looks really good. It's a great transition from the torso into those legs. And the one black arm with the one orange arm actually fit together really nicely. Taking his hood and armor off, he of course has the same face print he's had since the movie. And then turning around, there's his alternate face and back torso print, where the back torso print just has that ninja logo on it. So yeah, I think this is a good enough minifigure selection for this set. At $35, maybe it could have included 1 more minifigure, but basically I'm just happy that Cole's here. But what are my overall opinions on this set? This set is really hard to say. I really want to like this set, and I think there is a lot to like here. However, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say a lot of this set didn't leave me disappointed. The biggest thing I think is the posability. The fact that we're getting a dragon for $35 in the year 2023 that can't rotate its head is just so lame. Like, I feel like that at the very least should have been included. And while the leg articulation is okay, I feel like it definitely could have been better. I'm glad they're breaking the mold of EVO dragons and not saying, oh hey, every EVO dragon has to look the same. But I do wish a lot of parts of this build were a bit better. All that's to say, I do still quite like this set. Posability aside, I think the overall aesthetics are great. The color combination is fantastic with the black and the orange, as well as the brown and the tan. Fits Cole perfectly, but also like perfectly encapsulates the element of Earth. Very different from other dragons as well, which of course is always a good thing, because so many Ninjago dragons have been made over the years. Whenever one breaks the mold and is different from the rest, that's always super nice to see. I do think the transition in the body is a little bit weird, how it gets like real thin towards the back, but it's honestly not the biggest deal. And like the large shoulder slash chest area I think is super unique. So I genuinely do really enjoy that aspect of the build. Oh, also the side build's pretty great too. Not that it's like a main reason to get this set, but it's a very nice inclusion. And then the other thing is the price. $35 is not the best price. $30 would have been perfectly respectable, and I know we're living in a post-price increase world, so everything's going to be more expensive, but it is a little bit small for $35. Better than, say, Kai's Fire Dragon from last year, which is also $35. Like, for sure, a much better value than that, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily worth the price. So would I recommend this set? I don't know. I want to say yes, because I want more Cole sets. Cole barely ever gets sets, so it's upsetting to me that a Cole set isn't perfect. So I want to say go buy this set, support a Cole set, let's get more Cole sets sold, so we get more Cole sets in the future. But I won't lie to you, this set's not perfect. I think you can make this set really good if you customize a little bit, but in its base form, you might want to hold off a little bit. On sale, I think this is more reasonable. Like, if you could find this for, what, $28, that would be 20% off. I think it's more justifiable at that price. But yeah, due to the price and limited posability of the build, and also the fact that none of the figures are exclusive here, unless you really want a core Cole minifigure minifigure and you didn't get either of the other sets that he comes in, I don't think you need to pick this one up. And I hate that I'm saying that because I really want to like this set, I really want to recommend it, but unfortunately I feel like it leaves a little bit to be desired. You guys might disagree with me though, because of course those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I'm doing a bunch of early 2023 LEGO reviews right now, including more Ninjago, as well as LEGO Super Mario, LEGO Monkey Kid, LEGO Minecraft, LEGO City, and more. A bunch of those are already up on the channel, and there's going to be more coming over the next few days, so make sure to check out the channel and subscribe if any of that sounds like something you'd be interested in. But as for this video, I think it's about all I have to say, so thanks for watching everybody, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!